Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Tora, and we want to thank you for kicking it with Kim and Tora. We have three topics today, and let me tell you, I cannot wait for our first topic. You know, it's trending on every social media platform, the slap that was heard around the world, and I have quoted this on all my social media platforms. The Oscars hit differently this year. So let me tell you, listen, I am all for men sticking up for their wives, okay? That's number one. But I feel like it's a way you can do it in a time and a place. And I just feel like the Oscars was not the time, was not the place to get someone who was trying to hurt your wife, even if he wasn't trying, even if it was an accident, even if it was just comedy at its best. If it made her uncomfortable and you feel the need to say something to someone, it's a time and a place. And I felt like my blame goes to Jada even more than it does Will, who actually did the violence. I really do. I feel like Jada should have been more of a ha ha ha, let me laugh it off, but I'm going to lean into Will and say, boo, after this is over, we're going to check him. Okay. Just letting you know. I do not feel like it was his moment, his night, and her rolling her eyes alone. Just that alone just gave that night such a, because you know the cameras can pan to you at any moment. So always keep a brave face, smiling face. And I know there's two people out here right now. One people are saying he should have stuck up for his wife. That's right, he did the right thing. The other people are saying, are you crazy? Like, why put us in a bad light like that? So I'm caught right in the middle of that. I'm in the middle of both are right. However, I just think it was a time and a place.
So I don't really have an opinion on this. I think that it is a distraction. I think that it is a diversion. I think that significant things are happening in the country and across the globe. And the last thing, I have scrolled past everything that they have to say about Will and Jada. I don't watch the award show, but I did see it on. Oh, of course not. Those things are a travesty. Those are typically tend to be a ritual of some kind. That slap may have been a ritual of some kind. We probably
saying that too.
We probably will see some consequences. I've heard some things like they were talking about Jada being the spokesperson for alopecia. Who knows what these celebrity puppets are doing? I don't even care. I feel that what you said is reasonable, but of course, is not my opinion that he and Jada have the ability to reflect negatively on the rest of us. That's Will and Jada, has nothing to do with the rest of us. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed. I really don't give a D, but I do understand that many Americans do. So I'm glad you were able to weigh in, but I really don't have any other opinion.
And you just said that, you don't feel like weight on your shoulders from this. And that was something I felt. I felt it as a woman. I felt it as a Black person. I felt it as a person that's been and have family and friends in the entertainment business. I felt that weight and I didn't like that feeling. I didn't. And I feel bad that I'm putting that pressure on our community like that, but I did feel it. And I just wish that he could have found a better way to express his anger instead of using that moment. I just,
I've heard both sides, and definitely, I think that's a reasonable position. I just don't feel that. And I just made up my mind I'm not engaging in it because it's just a diversion. But, we did see in a Barbara Walters clip that Will has been woke for a very long time. I know that because my girlfriend used to write for him on the other show with Dwayne Martin.
Oh, I didn't watch
All of Us or something like that.
Yeah,
I was write for him on that. I thought it was cute. I watched it, especially once I found out she was writing for it. But Will Smith said that the government, he believed the American government created AIDS as a part of genetic warfare testing. So he used to be woke. And I think that he and Jada have gone down some different road with her doing the red table talk. I wonder, did she sell out? Is she fulfilling a bargain that she previously agreed to fulfill? I don't know what they're doing. The August Alsina, it was all too much. It was all too much. So I don't know, but I
personally, nothing stunned you. Nothing made you uneasy about that whole ordeal. Like you didn't personally feel anything, that's
I could
crazy.
care
You're not
less.
crazy, but
I
I
mean,
wish
I
I
could
had
really
that.
care less. I could really, I mean, we have to, well, we don't have to do anything, but
Mhm.
I made up my mind that I'm an individual. I'm not gonna let them manipulate me. I am concerned about Black people, and I'm very blackety black, so that's always my thing. But
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna let Hollywood manipulate me by putting Black folks up to antics, and then I'm supposed to feel away. And when I was coming home from the store today on the radio, the guy was like, the thing we just can't stop talking about, Will and Chris. And I just push the button because yeah, I can stop. It's called stop. But I
Yeah.
mean, I'm glad you addressed it because I know a lot of people are concerned about it. Now, what about these food shortages? That is really all the conversation these
I am
days.
so thankful that you had put it out there on Raising the Vibes a while ago. You know what I mean?
The shelves. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so glad that it was on your YouTube channel, it was on your TikTok. I'm so glad because you woke me up for it. Like you kept my, so once someone says something, it just never goes away from me. So now that it's in abundance, like President Biden literally said it. It was a conference. I mean, he said it on TV to make us aware, which make us more aware because you already put it out there for me. That I'm like, oh my God, this is what Kim was talking about. This is what you've been saying on all of your network channels. Like, look, y'all, you need to stock up. There's going to be a food shortage. You need to learn how to make your own food, and you need to learn how to grow your own food. And it's like, I'm so scared because I know I have this vision that once that happens, it's pandemonium. You know what I mean? People are breaking in people's houses to steal jewelry, to sell, to get drugs. Now you can be breaking in people's houses and doing all kind of crime to get the food that people have. And then people are going to be just doing things to protect their food. So I feel like it's so much pandemonium about to happen. And they're trying, I guess, to prepare us to store.
Who, when, how, where? I just put up a video on that. It's already got thousands of views. Who's trying to prepare us? What are they doing? They're giving our money to Afghan refugees. They're giving our money to Ukraine. They have a bill to give money, 10 billion to Jeff Bezos. They have a bill to give 53 billion to Intel and other microchip companies. What are they doing? They're just making people afraid. They want people to feel exactly how you just said. Joe Biden said there's going to be a shortage. These sanctions will affect us. His press secretary, just hours later or around the same time, was saying we're expecting global food shortages. We don't expect it to affect us, but we do expect it to affect low income and poor and middle income countries, such as, and she said countries, but then she named regions. She said such as Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East. So one is saying one thing, the other saying the other. And what I say is, it's growing season, dear. Look around. When you go to the stores, they've got their organic fruits and vegetables out. It's time for us to figure out how to start using them, because what we can't do is let these clowns starve us out.
Right.
And they're just giving our money away and telling us, well, you're going to starve. If you really thought I was going to starve, take that 100 billion that you're sending all around the world and give it to the farmers. You know, those farmers that you had burn their crops last year or destroy their crop. Let's try to get some food production going here. But these people are diabolical, I tell you.
And the world is being played like a chess game, but you just don't know the moves and why they're doing it. Like, okay, we heard you said they're overpopulated. Okay, we heard that. Okay, you said that the dollar is losing its value. Okay, we heard that. But okay, what is it all for? You're doing all this to do what though? To start all over? Like
total control. To have total control. So like right now, 0.1% of the world owns 25% of global wealth. The bottom 50% of the population owns like 1% or some crazy 25% or something. It's crazily low. I need to look it up again. But they have all the power, they have all the money, and what they want to do is decrease the number of people so that those remaining will be easier to control. And then they're the elite. Like you saw it in Hunger Games, you see it in a lot of the movies where there's.
But haven't they seen that it doesn't work? Every ending, it doesn't work. So they think that the middle class and the lower class is starting to figure out how to become upper class, and they don't want that anymore?
No, they've taken all the money and they've practically destroyed the middle class and pushed
Okay.
them down to with the lower class.
Okay.
And they've got the bulk of the money and
Also, it's only about the wealth and the money, like,
control.
and
So
control.
the global, the one, that's what the new world order.
So
the
they don't
global
think that the
reset.
world will be able to withstand the empires that they have if there's no control. Like, I don't understand. Like, so all the people in the world who work for corporations and manufacturers and, whatever it is to take the world's go around, they think that somehow they're all just going to say, no, we're just not going to do it. We're not
Not
going
going to
to,
do what?
we're not going to be productive to help make
A
the
different
global
kind of control. You have to like a different kind of control. I mean, girl, I don't know. It's too big of a story for me to say, but a different
I
kind of
would
control.
definitely love to have you one day either do it on your YouTube channel, break it down, because I really want to know, like, okay, so if they don't have jails and they don't have prisoners and they don't have people to run them, then they can't get free labor to keep their business and corporations running. So they need
What
to
about the
fight.
robots? And what about the
Point taken.
robots? And what about the people taking the jab who are more susceptible to do whatever? And what about the agenda to merge? I did a video on this too, though, to merge man and machine. They were saying that eventually you won't be able to tell the difference. There won't be so much of a distinction because humans will have computers in their brain and throughout their body. They're just on a whole, girl, they're on a whole science fiction agenda, and they've had this agenda for a very long time. And I mean, I don't think it's going to end well because I don't think they win. I think we win. But there are some legitimate
To
questions,
me,
like
it
you're
always
saying.
goes back to the one who had the idea. How is he able to infect the next person and the next person and the next person to keep this idea going? Like, that's always been my thing. Like, just because my great grandfather wanted to be a sharecropper doesn't mean his children wanted to be, and the children after him and after him. So it's like you don't get to infect anybody with whether it's positive or negative. You don't, it just doesn't work like that. So just because the great great grandfathers was like, we're going to invent robots so people don't have to take off from work, they don't get tired, they work 24/7. Well, who says the next generation thought that was a bright idea?
Okay, well, I have to say, I doubt your great grandfather or whomever wanted to be a sharecropper. That's something that people did because
No, that was just my like
ended
example.
and they didn't have options, and the white folk ripped them off. Rip them off. You owe me for your seed, for your this, for your that. And by the time your harvest comes in, all that money right there, you owe me. So they just were being slaves under another name. But I think that just got me so sidetracked. But I mean, I understand it doesn't make sense to regular people. We are
Right.
not villains. We don't want to control the world. We don't want everybody under our foot. So it's hard to understand why they're
Okay, I get it.
But also, when I was editing our last video, I noticed you said something like what you just said now too, like who came up with this idea? Who came up with the idea to create the alternative history? Who came up with the idea to have the global reset, the one world order and all that? I think that when you're thinking about those things, you have to think back to the fallen angels, think back to either whatever you believe, the Anunnaki, the fallen angels, the whatever, Satan, Zeus, whatever, Lucifer, whatever your belief is, because it's bigger than just people. There's some kind of spiritual battle going on, and some people are fighting for one side, some people are fighting for the other side, and a whole big bunch of people in the middle don't even know there's a war going on. So they're not fighting for anybody. And I think that is not one person. It's more of that whole kind of.
That's the cult we were talking about with the Kanye thing. So that kind of like merges into like one of our topics of, how Kanye is talking out and speaking out on, I don't want my daughter being pushed by Disney and by social media. And I know you all think that that's the way you want to run your life. But I can see now what you're saying, like it's not like a generational curse, but it's like a generational poison that gets put into the system. And then that's how it just keeps going down. Like I do remember seeing Kendall and Kylie at a young age dancing on a stripper pole and
on the yacht. I was astonished. Yes. And look at them now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
then like look at Billy Ray Cyrus and Miley Cyrus, how
yeah.
they usher the youth into the industry. And in that video I sent you, did you watch that part where they show what North and Kim and
The
Courtney's
emo.
daughter? I mean, and
Yeah.
then when the lady broke
But that
down the
desensitizes what I felt like when I originally found out what emo was, and because me and Victoria told me this years ago, so I had
what
to
is
Google it.
emo?
I didn't
I
know.
don't know really. What
It's
is it?
basically a suicidal person that's gothic and just dreary and dark and
Wow.
yeah, just doesn't have that spiritual side to them. You know, they're just goth and dark and suicidal. So
And so the lady said they were dressed in goth and they looked gothic, but gothic can just be a fashion. But what you're
right.
talking about is a whole nother
Yeah.
level. And then she
Yeah.
said, and I didn't watch the video, I don't know if you say this is true,
Mhm.
that they took the children inside the museum. And then the children were watching scenes play out that were very adult oriented, very
Even if they didn't actually watch it, but the way they edited made it look like it, it's still the insinuation of he has a pizza box over his private parts, he's butt naked, and children are watching this. And I kept trying to figure out when would this be okay. You know what I'm saying? And then there's two women who are making out really, really seductively in front of these children.
like, why?
There's a peat box. Remember the peat box?
What's a peat box?
Where they would be like nudity or sexuality on the other side, and you just have a little square
Oh, a
box.
peep show thing. I know what you're talking about.
There was that, and it just, I was just kept thinking to myself, man, so is this how you desensitize the next generation to go along with this? As it's
to go along with what? What is it that they're pushing on there?
I think desensitizing them to about basically about reproduction in life, making it seem like it's no such thing of love and you know things being personable, like everything is just animalistic. Like it's fine if you see this grown man walking around with his genitals exposed and we're children, it's fine. Like why are you making a big like there's no more coveting.
I think it's pushing the pedophilia agenda. And that's why I was concerned about Judge Jackson's weak rulings on child pornography and pedophilia. I think we saw that with Jeffrey Epstein. They talk more about Will and Chris than they, I mean, that all of this stuff distracts us from the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell underlying issue of child sex trafficking in this country. And I think that when you show videos of kids seeing stuff like that, remember Pizzagate? I mean, it was a conspiracy. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was all about pizza box. They keep putting it right in our faces. And pedophilia is when you bring children into sexual situations and you pretend this is how you groom them.
This is a guy named Machine Gun Kelly who's an artist, and I'm thinking, who told you to do this in front of children and think that it was okay? Like my thing is, I just been
watching any videos lately. Somebody's telling everybody to do something crazy. You haven't noticed?
Yeah,
those videos. I mean, I don't watch them, but when I do, it is like, what is this?
Do we notice it because, I mean, I feel like, do I notice it because I'm woke now? Or was it always there and I just didn't even accept it when I was younger? Because I look back at some of the movies like Goonies and Fast Times at Richmond High and Wayne's World, Ferris Bueller. Yeah, I'm looking back and I'm like, yo, was this stuff always in my face? And I didn't know it because I wasn't woke. But now that I'm woke, I'm like cringing, like, oh my God.
Both. I think they've accelerated the agenda. So they're pushing it in our faces more blatantly and more often than ever. And now the veil is lifting and you're able to see it. So those two things together, I mean, I just keep on thinking this society's going to H in a handbasket. And I'm I'm not even all morally uptight and stuff. I'm very much do what you want. I'm gonna do what I want, but there's some basic things that should be agreed upon, protecting children, just some not going over killing people and stealing their resources. They're just some basic things we should be able to agree upon that we don't. that we never have.
I just
and we
wish you
never
were right
realize.
about that. I wish you were right about that. The basic agreement of just, can we protect children that to, until they're old enough, not even children, but until a human is old enough to understand what he's looking at and why. I just hate the grooming period. That's just something I'm not okay with. Like, even when I say something to my children about things sexually, they're still like, Mom, they're not even ready for it. And it's like, because I have not suppressed that from them. It's just that I felt like they didn't need to know about certain things at a certain age. Like, I feel like it jets them right into maturity that I'm not ready for them to be, and I don't want them to feel like they need to be. You know, when they hear it, they're just like,
I don't talk to my children about those sort of things unless we're talking about relationship in the context of relationships. But I imagine they would be like how my son was when you were talking about the boys going in their room to masturbate. And I was like, and he was like, we just, you know, we don't really, not to say that one might think he has never masturbated, but it's not the kind of thing that I talk about. But I don't, I'm not able to approve any of this or any of that, but a lot of people are saying that the child sex trafficking, the child sacrifice, all of that kind of is fueling this society and has done so for a long time. And if that's true, if that's reflected in the Jeffrey Epstein Island and all of that, so in the Disney machine and all of that, they're never going to protect children because.
And see, and that's the point about what you were just saying. Even like using that example of, you know, the masturbation, like that happens when the kid is 16. That's normal behavior for little boys. I don't want any little boy in the world who's listening to this, or parents, I do not want you to think your son is doing something wrong or feeling ashamed. He is getting to know his body. But why are we introducing that to him at 5 years old? Like, I just think it's a time and a place for everything. And I feel like they're doing it, that exact same thing of what I just said to Jordan and my son at this age. They're doing it at 4, 5, 2, 3 to make it natural. And that's sick to me. That's
talking about their private parts,
yes,
talking about their gender and whether it's stable or not.
Sexuality.
Yep, talking
What is
about
that?
things that we just wouldn't want. I wouldn't put my child in a school these days. I wouldn't. I don't want them learning the things that people are intentionally pushing onto them. I wouldn't do it. So what about this video? Oh, did you want to say something else?
No. I just wanted to say I totally agree with you on all of that. 100%. I think that that's where life is right now. I just think they're pushing an agenda that.
And I think that if the conspiracy theories are many in this area, but the things that they're doing sort of make you feel like conspiracy where?
Right.
You know, like, why are you doing this? Because this isn't normal. This isn't what we want. Most of us don't even want this, but they're pushing it anyway. But what about the other video you sent me about the Caribbean guy? And now the people in the Caribbean alleging that they're not from Africa and that they're indigenous to those islands, and that he seemed to be suggesting connected with us in the Americas, the Americas.
But how would he know? How would he know that that's trending in you? I mean, I'm not saying he's in the bush or anything, but he's in a village in a remote area, and he's speaking from his family's trend and experience of. What are you talking about? We are all from here. It's not like we migrated here from Africa. We were here. We were already here. Like, matter of fact, some of us people might have moved from here to Africa, but we were already here. And it's like we're just discovering this about us in the United States. Like, hey, because I knew my great-great-grandfather, and I knew him, and we talked, and I asked him, you know, were we slaves? And he said, "What are you talking about? Like, no, we were born here." And this man lived in his 90s. So if he lived in his 90s and he remembered being born here, he was only probably a one generation removed from if he was a slave. And he's saying he was born here. No, he doesn't know what what is that meant? And so that was my grandmother's father I'm talking about. They lived very long in that side of the family. Like I said, they were farmers. They ate natural food always. They worked.
We got to get back to that. We've got to get back to that.
And so that brings me to saying, okay, two things. Are the government pushing the okay, let's start telling them the truth that they're from here. So if you have to pass out reparation, we can't get any, because it's like, wait, honey, you really wasn't a slave. You don't need no reparation because you were born here. Or is there a thing where they're saying it now and letting us know the truth now? Because if they do hand out reparation, it's gonna go all the way back again to skipping us. Because I've been hearing, well, who gets reparation? Does it go to the Native Americans? Like what you just said, we were Native Americans too. So now you're going to say, skip the Native Americans. Y'all don't get any because y'all, we found out y'all were Black also. And then we don't give it to the people who was already here because y'all were already here. This is your land. So who's going to get this reparation check?
Okay, let me just, I hate to be a party pooper.
Mhm.
Let me just say I'm not into reparations because I don't think they're going to give them. And I don't think that winners voluntarily give over the booty that they won, not the treasure that they've won to the people that they stole it from in the first place. I'm not holding my breath for reparations, but in my mind, Native Americans have already got some level of compensation with those casinos, with those tribal lands, with their tax-free living and all of that, okay?
Like you and I. They don't look like you and I.
They don't look like, they're the Mongoloid people, and that's who these people insisted inhabited our land because they wanted to dispossess us. So if theoretically they were going to give reparations, it should be to us Aboriginals as well, because all of this is our land. You've taken our land, convinced many of us that we're from a whole other place. You've taken all the wealth, all the minerals, you killed our buffalo, you raided and raped our women and burned down our villages. So whether or not we came from Africa or we were here and you took our land from us here, you still owe us. If we're going to do that reparation argument.
Yes, our names should not be our names. We know that. You know what I mean? We know that our names are not our names. You go to the islands, you go to Africa, you go wherever you want to go, any place. Their names are their names. You can go to China, their names are their names. You could go to Egypt and Germany and Russia, their names are their names. We are the only people that do not own our own name. For that alone, me having the name that I have should be able to say, you get a reparation.
And that's a huge part of the damage and destruction that they've done to whomever it is that we are here in this country. And I think that, it does set us apart from everybody else. Like I saw something recently saying that, of course we heard the Californians talking about reparations, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And then I recently saw something saying that to qualify, you have to prove you were a slave. That's part of what y'all did to us. We can't prove who we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. And we hear the stories and see the roles where they show we're Indians, Black people looking like us, were changed to mulatto, to colored, now to African American or Black. That's why you owe us. You've wiped away our historical memory and we don't know who we are. Like you said, Africans, Chinese, Irish, Caribbean, English, Jamaican, all those people know who they are.
And they have a name. They have a name. You can trace that name back, even if it's like, say, the Patel name that is, of Hindu descent or whatever. You can trace that Patel name wherever it goes. If everybody's name is Patel and everybody's name is Shring or Singh, you can still trace that back. You can't trace Williams back to what? What is going to land you?
We don't know. On one side, I traced them back to white British people who I didn't trace them, my cousin did, to white British going all the way back to the 1600s who injected themselves into our family. On the other side, my father's mother and father are from a small town in the South named after a small Indian tribe, which leads me to believe we were what? So, but who knows? And I want to know. I was thinking about this yesterday. I want to know, but it's so much going on. I really don't
want to know who you are.
Time.
You want to know who you are?
To start, some of the people I watch show on their videos where you can go online to find all of those kinds of records to begin tracing yourself. But do you know how much time that takes? Do you know how much time my cousin spent writing that book to find those white relatives?
That's what my daughter's
Wow.
godfather does. He works in a place that helps people trace back from the beginning of time. And my mom is doing it while she's alive. Like she fills in most of our family tree online. And it's I don't even know how she knows half the stuff she knows. That woman is incredible because it's gonna die with her.
It's online. Yeah. No, I thought she's putting it online.
She is, but what I'm saying is what she's put online and her generation has put online is all we have. Like I said, the next generation down, which is like me and my cousins and all of that, we don't know who we are. We don't even stay.
That's the easy part. If they're doing the part going back centuries or 1 century even, you guys know who you are. Oh yeah, Uncle John, you can put that part in. We need that part at the top. And I love that somebody who is an elder, who is retired. I mean, though that kind of stuff takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to comb through all those slave records and tax rolls and slave ship manifests and, you know, to try to find who you are. But that's, to me, part of why they would owe us. So saying that we're Aboriginal does not detract from the reparations argument. It actually adds to it because that's part of what you did to us and you owe us. That's what I think.
Well, I think that the only way we're ever going to really receive financial reparation is that they just have a trust. I mean, it has to be a trust, you know what I mean? Because if it isn't, we're none of us, the right people are going to get it. And you're right about the California thing. My daughter is actually, you know, in California and my son, and they are already starting some type of thing where they're tracking people. I was talking about this with them about the, it's a reparation limit for okay, so they have like almost like an application part. If like you would be interested in reparation, you know, starting that kit already, and they have it in California. And I'm like, yeah, fill it out. Absolutely. You never know, you know, where
I know you're like, fill it out, girl, fill it out,
get it done. In a heartbeat, fill it out. Like, I don't care what you, like I always say, our information is out there anyway. It's not like somebody's trying to steal it.
That's what I had to realize a few years ago. Everybody knows already.
So
they're asking them to prove some lineage or something like that.
So basically, it's the descendants. So it's basically saying, okay, you two are out here. You two siblings are living in, you know, California on the West Coast, and we can track your lineage back to Maryland, and then from Maryland, you know, we already know. I think Maryland will be covered. Born and raised in Maryland will be covered.
They're not giving us any reparations. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But fill out the paper just in case.
I really think it's going to happen in our lifetime. I really do. I really think it's because of something bigger that they're planning, but I do think it's going to happen.
Our reparations are going to be when we take our land back and kick their asses out. Our reparations are going to be when we take our land back and kick them out. But our time is way since up. Our time is up. I've enjoyed it. I mean, this was just an interesting conversation. I hope everyone else enjoyed it too, you know.
Everyone does enjoy it. And I'm telling you, I love our comments. I love everything about our show. So I just want everyone to keep tuning in. I want to thank you for kicking it with Kim and Tora, and tune in again next week. And we promise you, we'll have 3 interesting more topics on what's going on in the world today.
Thanks for joining us.